a recording within a recording within a recording. Me recording me to me in a holodeck, in a universe that is a holodeck. Trying to be at ease with my soul. Trying to... It's weird. It's like a dartboard where the bullseye lights up, and then the next ring, and then the next ring, and then the next ring. And in some cases, the bullseye lights up, and then the next lane lights up without the bullseye going away, but staying lit. Stay lit, stay lit, stay lit, stay lit, stay lit. Anyway, I've been held up for a month. March Madness. Been going a little bit mad. I decided to go $110 on the highways with Jesus as my co-pilot right through Idaho. Passing cars on the right. Kind of like Han Solo going through an asteroid belt. Just fearless. There's no need to fear. I'm entirely taken care of. You know, the only damage that is going to happen to me is going to be brought on by myself or by the general decay of my body, I suppose. I occasionally get this glimmer of hope, like, okay, even though animals die and people die, and we've witnessed people die and we know people die, perhaps, like the movie Elysian, being like Christ or Cocoon. Like in Elysian, he goes up, he dies, kind of like Christ, to send down the machines that repair everyone's body indefinitely. So it's like he's dying not for your sins, but to grant you eternal life. And then Cocoon, all the old folks, well, not all of them, some of them, Bernie stays behind with his wife, and his wife dies. And some of the spirits die coming out of the cocoon, but the rest make it, on board the boat, and then they're brought up into space. They're elevated, and then, and he's like, hey, you basically live forever, and you travel the galaxy with us, and blah 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 blah. You become teachers, and blah 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 blah. And so I had this idea, like, wow, I've gone through a lot, and maybe I'll continue in my quote unquote reality, my spiritual holodeck here, to reach a point where I shovel off this mortal coil, or perhaps, since I feel as if I have gone to heaven, gotten this sense of complete safety and pure love after this ridicule of the mind, this mind-boggling snappage and so forth, that maybe technology, whatever is in this universe, will ultimately, provided I don't allow my own demise to occur, will regenerate me into the most healthy body that I've ever known. And I will be able to live forever with the rest of the spirits in the universe. Or maybe there's this idea of the soul or consciousness reincarnating. But by reincarnation, lately I've been thinking about, that's what it means to ascend into a witnessing of the world as as just data bits. Because I've seen supernatural things that parlayed into other things, and then relationships are really important, as love is important. And the whole love love economy, the economy of love. You know, it's not the same thing as the economy of currency or money, obviously. The more I love, the more I attract money. Doesn't seem to be the case. Anyway, I was watching Sons of Anarchy, and Kurt Sutter, clever guy, writes, you know, kind of about old ladies, who your old lady's going to be. And he says, speaking from the old lady, played by Katie Seagal, to one of the biker members who's got a new girlfriend, he's like, you don't end up with who you want, you end up with who you are. And I thought, wow, was my engagement to this woman, this roommate of mine, that I'm headstrong and barreling towards vacating the premises to put me in a higher state? Is she but, like all of you, a mirror of me? Because this idea, like, there's a lot of twin flame videos I've been looking at. Like, once you acquire your twin flame, there's no escaping your twin flame, and your twin flame will teach you how to excavate everything negative out of you, and so you can love everything more wholly and purely. And so I've been watching a lot of twin flame videos. Fortunately, I found a couple about vanishing or diminishing twin flames. About, hey, I'm just not going to get involved in that because it's an infinite entanglement of problems, and all it does is bring me down. So people evade their quote-unquote twin flame, and by evading their twin flame, they are called runners. So you get the runner scenario and the chaser scenario. And all of this comes from this idea of, okay, I reached, well, here, let me bring you closer, because getting your feedback, y'all, really important. By the way, Piro, listening to some of your old videos about a field and the openness of consciousness, I've been thinking about that because I've been watching a lot of also non-duality videos. If you look up non-dual or non-duality videos, like Matt Kahn and Carnes and Moji, and anyway, maybe perhaps I can use my painting as a narrative. Anyway, I started off with the bullseye thing because I had made this blog on Facebook. By the way, if you're not attached to me on Facebook and you watch my videos, please attach to me on Facebook, or at least like my art page. Come on, throw me some love, back me up, give me some feedback, something, please, please. Anyway, the reason I was doing the dartboard, or this idea of a spiral, spiraling in or spiraling out, some hypnosis of the spiral, the sacred symbol of the spiral, or the dartboard, you know, has to do with not sinning. But by not sinning, it means that Cupid flies an arrow straight into the heart of your lover, and if your lover is a mirror of you, then it goes straight into you, and hence you've hit your soul center when you've hit your heart center. And I was thinking about how I've failed because my last name's Fail. So many relationships, and I failed my digital animation career back in '98, and I failed. I've I've been, I build myself. I climb the mountain all the way to the precipice, but before I put the flag in the top, I walk away. I walk down. It's like, I can't be the guy that reaches the pinnacle. I can't be the hero that reaches his center. That's what I thought. So I've been in this archangel, being Michael fail, but Michael, the archangel, I battle with Satan, and Satan is it's like in Bohemian Rhapsody. Beelzebub has has set aside a demon just for me, And anyway, I was thinking about how when I reached this non-dual state and everything became a oneness, and with love and acceptance, there felt just like that little beep, as if, and I shouldn't say felt, there was a synchronic downloading of imagery and knowledge that came to me as if from another universe. And and the rest of the time, there's synchronic events that are occurring, symbols or sounds or creaks or things that my mental frequency, maybe because I'm drinking coffee, maybe because I'm out of alignment, maybe because of the information, my diet, or what it is I'm doing, I'm not in tune with the patternings of the universe enough to always get a read on them. Where before I did get a read on them, like they meant something. Symbols meant there was a meta knowledge that aligned with the passing of a train, or a creak on the roof, or the songbird singing, or the cat jumping up on me, or doors opening, or coffee makers or fridges clicking, or computer going fritz. There was a meaning, a meta meaning, and this meaning bled into colors, frequency of colors, frequency of number types, assumptions about like 666, 999, 333, 8884, so forth. It's like the frequency of number patternings, like 666, so that's an evil number. But when I went to Egypt and I went to the Temple of Karnak, they showed 6 unfolding into 36, which then unfolded into, what was it, 200 and something. Anyway, great, I want to do the math. 8, 2, 3. Come on, Mike, don't lose track here. 8, 216. Okay, so they metered out 636, 200. I just said it. 19, 16, 216. Anyway, meters out, and they were showing this as lengths of pillars that were separate from one another. And in this particular temple, the temple of Karmak. You have Dromos on the outside. Dromos are like Sphinx, but they're made of ram's heads instead of human heads. And they show the man underneath them. It's as if you're measured kind of by the natural progression of the affect of measuring a ram's horn as it curls around, or any other spiralic pattern found in nature. And this could meant the natural man. The natural man, is carnivorous and lusty and satyr-like and grounded within a 3D realm. Anyway, this was in Upper Egypt, so it was south of Cairo. And, anyway, I could go on forever about symbolism, but the snake and the, I keep wanting to call it a crow because I'm watching Sam Crow and Sons of Anarchy, but the vulture on the crown of the pharaoh became significant. Anyway, I'm going off track. Like I said, I could ramble on about symbolism forever, but the thing, and I'll circle back to Egyptian symbolism here in a minute. Patternings of awakening. When I woke up, when I started bonding with everything, which I guess is a divine bonding, everything started bonding back with me. Like there's no media that I can see now that doesn't mean something to me. But I try not to let it scare me or throw me off track. I'm looking at more as a reflex of what I'm thinking or how it is I'm moving, whatever is inputting data into my mind. But once again, I start out with the dartboard. Either the dartboard is the bullseye is off, and then the next ring is out, and the next ring is out. And if you ever play darts on a dartboard, you know that you're trying to hit that bullseye. And the bullseye means your center. It means not to sin. You hit the bullseye. I mean, hitting the target is great, but hitting the bullseye is one thing. And so you always have those movies where, they shoot an arrow in the bullseye, and then the next best champ splits the previous arrow and also hits the bullseye. And, it becomes this metaphor for not sinning and finding one's true calling or passion or soul center. And anyway, I guess what I'm saying is this blog post that I made, I was talking about how when I grew up, I always felt division. Like I felt separated off from adults because my parents smoked and drank coffee and drank beer, and I wasn't allowed to do that as a child. So I would sneak it, trying to get it in, trying to figure out what that was about. Even sex and porn. Like, we're going to bring that as close to me as possible. But Mormons, the neighbors, they'd always be there talking in their Mormon way. And I was always defined as what I was not. Like I was separate from them. Eventually I read their books, but I've even gone to their church and played basketball and gone to a singles ward and blah blah blah. But anyway, it was like trying to bring everything in you know, incorporate everything in. And then this enlightenment, after thunderbolts of lightning, very, very frightening, we've got to live. After finding that ultimately the okay, so the bullseye lights up, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and then the bullseye goes off, and the inside ones go off, and the exterior one is lit up. The exterior one. To me, that's the border is running the periphery, always running the periphery of what you are not, and then that blends into an infinity signal. Oh great, he's infinitely on the periphery. He's blown open. Anyway, so I thought, how to succinctly say this? Through YouTube, through jumping off a roof, through orbs and red stars, through this sense of complete safety, through driving madly, and confronting people in almost fight scenarios, and so forth. Open me up slowly through frightening things, very frightening. Even this attempts at opening the door to love, bonding with somebody, can be done out of fear factor. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is that the periphery of one's being, not hitting the bullseye, not knowing who you are, where you're going, or what you want, it's kind of dangerous. So Mormons and Catholics, talk about Mexican Catholics, U.S. Mormons, they like to get married ASAP and have a kid ASAP because they know that reproduction is part, impartial, what they're after. It's who they are. And I remember, you know, the first girlfriend I ever had, I broke up with her to have sex with this other woman because my girlfriend wasn't having sex with me. And then when I did have sex with the other woman, I should say girl, so I was 17, she was 15, I wore a condom just to make certain not to impregnate her because I loved my high school sweetheart. And so when we got back together at the age of 22, she got pregnant, and I told her I didn't want to have the child, so she went and had an abortion, which in retrospect I wish she would have stood up for me and the child and blah blah blah, and not had the abortion. Kind of brought me into obligation. But it appears that I get whatever Bella wants, Bella gets. Apparently, I've led my life getting what I want to the point where what I wanted was to negate what I wanted. I got into such a mental quandary of negation, acceptance and negation, desire, fear and desire. These non-duality videos are fabulous because they made me realize that consciousness is just this opening. So with that being said, 24 hours. It's been a while since I made a video, guys, so right, not that one. How about this one? Okay, red interior. If you've ever seen M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dongs, The Village, they have red is the forbidden color because that's the beast's color that runs the periphery of their village. Anyway, red happened to be my color growing up. I painted red houses. I've got red books. I'm interested in red books, red things, red cars, red everything. It was like this symbol that's been chasing me around to the point then where I started discarding. I couldn't eat anything that's red. No strawberries, no red apples, no red peppers, nothing red. I was just getting it out of my life. Anyway, that's for another story. So, I've also been watching this guy, Infinite Waters Diving Deep. He's great because he talks about the Truman Show, right? You're being watched, like the Truman Show. And I don't know. Anyway, because of that, I got this for my Netflix. Also red. Just happens my Netflix are red. It's not gossip if it's true. And that reminds me that no matter how I try to deceive myself or scapegoat or run the peripheral edge, you know, when I was a kid, they had these spinning discs at this amusement park called Lagoon. And they were just big pieces of wood, like 30 feet in diameter, that would spin, and it'd stop, and all the kids would get in the center, and then it'd spin and spin and spin and spin and spin faster until all the kids slid right off of it. And that's kind of a metaphor of falling outside of the bullseye, trying to cling on to the bullseye as long as you can. Anyway, I ran my life after so many failures. I would get into this self-abusive habit of apathy, and I would maintain this sense of general apathy. And I saw Fight Club, yeah. Your life is ticking away 1 second at a time. And what do you want? What are you gonna do? And even that movie, like, oh, let's get rid of the banks and the banking system and capitalism, and what a beautiful idea, what a beautiful movie. In my most enlightened, heightened, here I am, here's the recent painting. Up as an angel, it's going to be a Cupid angel. At the most enlightened, self-reflexive, I'm a robot in the holographic universe sort of connection with everything. There was no separation any longer, nor division with the government. There was no separation nor division with any process in the universe. It was all just, everything was in complete and utter perfect, do no wrong order. There was no wrong. Everything was ordered exactly in some sort of pure oneness that could have only ever been exactly as it is. Anyway, so there I am, rising up. I should be painting while I'm talking. That was the goal, was to get painting done. So there I am, rising up, feeling like, oh my God, I died to myself, in myself, of myself. I died. My past is gone, everything's gone, division's gone. I am an angel. I am an angel. I am bonding with oneness, getting these downloads from the universe, heightened. My speed starts taking off. My creativity, what can be done? My universe, like, okay, it's been affecting me for so long, now how can I affect it? I had detoxified, gotten meat out of my system, gotten caffeine out of my system, gotten a lot of red foods out of my system, a lot of hot foods out of my system, a lot of irritants trying to get to that center, that center, that center. So back to Egypt a little bit. If you notice, Christ has halos, and if you notice, a lot of Egyptians have this kind of two-dimensional halo above them. When I've been bouncing all over in this fear factor. Sandro Moosh, can you do the Fandango? Sandro Muse, if you look up the lyrics to Bohemian Rhapsody, is a cowardly man. And I realized, wow, I've been looking at myself as a cowardly man. And so anyway, I bond with my twin, if you will, whom I have moving in the other room, spirit twin. And she tells me, I have known you for more years than I have been alive, which was just ultimately captivating. But anyway, so I go to jail in Idaho for speeding after I had moved her out. And so I'm going up to visit an ex-girlfriend and her child, because she says she has a place for me to live. But I end up getting arrested. And instead of bailing out, I decide to go in because I'm trying to save money. And they told me that the bond would be less, perhaps, if I went in. And I've always been guilty of trying to get the best deal. Sell my paintings for an acceptable amount. Don't be greedy, just an acceptable amount. Or and get a good deal on things. But don't, haggle till I'm stupid. But I I let money get in the way of speed. When my first girlfriend, 10 years later, after the first abortion, we got back together at the age of 30, and she got pregnant again. She flew down to LA. She got pregnant the first night that we were together, and then she flew back to Utah, and she told me she was pregnant. And I had sold two paintings, to this guy that was running some bands in LA, this manager. And she called me and she said she was going to the doctor, and I told her I didn't want her to have the abortion. And she said, I'm still going to the doctor. And I'm like, don't do anything without me. And so instead of racing back from LA to Utah to stop her, I stopped by the guy's place to get money on the paintings, because I'm like, hey, if I'm going to Utah, I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to need some money. So I stopped in to get the money. And I waited a half hour yelling at the guy, give me the money, give me the money. I was a complete asshole. He finally gave me the money, and then I hit the road, and I didn't stop, except for the gas, all the way back. 14 hours of driving. And when I got in town, I went right to the doctor's office, and I was like 5 minutes late. 5 or 10 minutes too late. She had taken the abortion pills. I talked to the doctor. She said they're already in her system. It's already processed. It's a done deal. Kid's gone. She just needs to take the other pills and bleed out at night. Anyway, and it's always stuck in my craw that it was my fault for getting the money instead of getting back to save the baby. And anyway, and she, had complained like, blah, 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 I miss our first baby. I have no idea why she got the second abortion. She just did it, and it ruined me. And then after that, I had gone on this quest of I'm gonna meet other women. I'm gonna knock someone up. I want to have a kid so bad. It's part of my destiny. Blah 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 blah. So I went on this sex spree trying to impregnate whomever, and if they didn't get pregnant in enough time, then I was just gonna bail on them. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby in a baby carriage. I think that's the way it goes for me. It's just I've never been married. Anyway, back to the story. So I have this baby mama who can't have kids. It's the fiance that I bonded with. After once again listening to YouTube instead of jumping off a roof, I was slowly seduced by Sadhara on YouTube to open myself up to love. And so I eventually creeped into the room, and it was as if all the stars were aligned. I kissed her, and all of a sudden, boom, this fifth dimensional, all of a sudden, this radiance of the matrix opened up to me. I became aware that not the orb or the star or all the zigzagging or all the colors or all the symbols, it was all just one matrix field. It wasn't an independent happening, that it was inclusive, that my body's part of the matrix, that her existence is part of the matrix, that everything's part of the matrix. The Bible mentions the matrix, and then I'm watching Susskind, the physicist out of Stanford, talk about the field, and he says that hey, it's not a pixelated universe, it's a voxelated universe, and a voxel are just 3D pixels. Well, a voxel's just 3D pixels. And then the collapsing field, wave theory versus particle physics. And if you're not observing something, then it collapses. It's in wave form. And that didn't make any sense to me before. I'm just like, oh, wave, oh, well, that's something that is observable phenomena like a microwave or a radio wave or a wave. But to think that anything that I do not observe, I don't observe behind me right now, is in wave form. It's collapsed. The only time it collapses into reality, into solid reality, is when it's being observed. Otherwise, it's just spirit data floating somewhere out there. So, the idea of other minds has been difficult since this enlightenment, because I realize, kind of like on Men in Black 2, that you guys are all earth angels or you're aliens, but you're connected to me directly. You're connected to me directly. We have these little groupings, these spirit groupings that we find on whoever our Facebook friends are, or whoever we meet in life, or whoever we're bonded to, or blah, 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 blah. These groupings. But on the highest state, the most angelic state, it's all one, bonding with the cosmos, bonding with everything. Anyway, so I move her out, roommate, the woman I kissed, that opened up the matrix, that made me think. And I was reading the Bible, and it was like, if you open this and you walk through it, if you leave it, you will burn. And then I went to see The Imitation Game about Turing, and how the Queen had forgiven him post-mortem after he left the woman that he said he was going to marry in order to complete the proper protocol to solve the codes of the war and everything, and then he was ridiculed to death and died. I realized that he was pardoned, hence I am pardoned, meaning I can divorce. So I separated from her. I moved her out, unfortunately, into this place that was very shitty. This house where they were, scratching her van and putting cigars out in her van and putting nails in her tires and stealing her shit and telling her she's got to move out just after she's moved in, and drove her into a psych ward. Meanwhile, I'm meditating, I'm painting, I'm fixing things up, and then I decide I'm going up to Seattle, and so I go like a madman up there, and I get arrested. So I'm in jail, right? And right when the door opens to bring the next cellmate in, this download, kink, kink, right when they open the door, the kink, kink of the door matched this mental download in my mind that said, be kind and loving to this guy. So right when he came, hey, how you doing, man? Everything's great. What are you in for? How is it? Blah, blah, blah. And I just chatted it up. Anyway, that was fine. He was interactive. He gave me a sandwich, which was a piece of bologna between 2 pieces of dry bread. Jail food sucks. And I took out the bologna and said thank you, I'm vegetarian, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, I was there for 2 nights, and on the second night, by then there were 4 new guys in the cell. And I was sleeping on the bottom part of these bunk beds, these double cots, and all the guys were sitting up top in their respective beds, and they were talking to me while I slept, while I was awake with my eyes closed, saying, "You're gonna get it. You don't even know what's coming to you. You know, it was just this weird, like, psychic threat, spiritual threat. Even after all of this pure oneness and loving and connecting with everything, here I was in this dharmic, radical, spiritual threat mode. And I was in a cage. You know, there was a red panic button if anything was going wrong that you could go hit. But anyway, it was just, and then the song, "The Threat is Real," came to mind. Like, okay, keep in mind, this threat is real. The longer I stay in jail, the more my soul's going to burn. But there's all this data, this sense that whatever my debt is to the cosmos will be paid back to me in pain and suffering, and that all isn't love and joy. Or it is all love and joy and oneness. It's just how to include the evils and the horror in your consciousness, in life, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so after this meditation, these guys hovering above me, like the dartboard, boom, 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 diastolic and systolic beat, the stronger beat. It was like, who is that for? Is it for Lisa back in Utah, or is it for Monica up in Seattle, where I was headed? And I was like, boom, the big beat is Lisa, the small beat is Monica. So after I'm bailed out, I'm there at an impasse. Do I continue going up to Seattle, or do I turn back? And then this idea, Mendham came to mind, actually. One of his lines was, "There's just this mess to make. Be a janitor, clean up your mess," came to mind. And I sat there and I thought, not only do I have all this art and all this condo and everything in Salt Lake that I'm working on, that I'm responsible for, but I put Lisa in this perilous situation and she needs out of it. And I don't have enough money to go up to Seattle now because I spent it all bailing myself out, getting my cat out of cat jail and getting my car back. And it was like, what the fuck? So I decided to come back to Salt Lake before my 30-day driver's license suspension failed. Anyway, so I drive into town, and then I beeline out to her place, and I confront these guys like a lion. So here's my little lion. After enlightenment, okay, so I go and I save her, and I take her and I bring her back here. And that night I kiss her again. And there's this opening, this weird, this is what turned me on to the non-dualists. I moved, my very being just opened like a black hole. And all I was the periphery, this conscious opening. So my being the black hole, and then my illumination, my halo, being the white pan up above. That is in Egyptian art. That is the halo of God. This is the bonding with Christ and all things holy and divine. It's this opening. And I had originally painted her in right here with two wings opening me up. Not unlike this other Egyptian. Well, might as well take you guys in there. I don't seem to be painting very much. Anyway, so there's this sense of getting my wings, getting my halo, but this complete openness, and then the song comes on the radio. I know you're feeling so hollow. Oh, oh. Like I said, all data, all media now is engaging. You know. Oh yeah, right here. Okay, so here is a depiction of a winged woman and another woman, when the woman that she's opening her wings to has a halo above her head. And that's what it was. It was this hollowing out. This hollowing out. Here's another opening into the universe. All the spirits and animals and everything opening into the cosmos. The detail of the halo. So anyway, that's what happened. It was this, oh my God, I am empty. I am this hollow vessel. So I start listening to these non-dualists, and they're like, there is nothing. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. And I thought of Derrida. He calls it auto-affection. Something like masturbation. That's how I looked at it before. But I didn't take it to the spiritual level. Spiritually, in this holographic self-reflective universe, we are but masturbating with it. After you're brought up and you see everything and you go to heaven, there's this descent back down to earth. And some people keep the corridors open, some people get data, other people just write about this awakening. And it seems like, bam, when it happened to me, it was also happening across the board. It's just ascension. And then declination, or dissension, declension. Anyway, so what ends up happening is I wake up and I realize, like at the end of the Matrix, where Neo's he's dead, but he's gobbled up by the machine. Right? That, okay, well, I'm not dead, I'm still alive. My bios, my biology, I'm still here. But I'm back in the 3D realm. But now I have a new understanding of how I'm connected to the field of everything. And I realize all I am is a biological robot. That's all I am. And then little symbols show up, you know, like broken robots, little cartoons. Bad robot. Oh, this is a bad robot. This is a good robot. And then I think of iRobot, the movie, and Blade Runner, where they're just robots. They're investigating other robots, but they're robots. And then I think of Luke Skywalker and how Darth Vader made C-3PO, who's a robot. And then Darth Vader is practically all robot. And then Luke gets his arm cut off, and his arm becomes a robot. And then I just realize we're all just biological robots. Then I see the movie The Signal. Love that movie. That was great. It was one of the most recent movies. And the guy goes into Area 51. And when I'm in jail, I look up underneath the bed, and carved in it is 51. Great. You know, it's not like I haven't seen weird shit already, but here I am interacting with crazy other organisms. And I actually had this feeling when I was going back up to court, like maybe I should ask to go to jail for like a week or something. Maybe there's something I need to face. Maybe I need to get in a fight, right? Because I've been such a pacifist my whole life. I never get into fights. I never hit back, you know. Even this guy came chasing this woman through the complex with a rock, and I got down, and I was just like, because I was a lion then, I was like, Mustafa, the Lion King, like the cowardly lion got his heart, and I was brave, you know, or got his courage. The Tin Man got his heart. So the little robot that descends, that's connected with everything, has his heart. The Tin Man has his heart. The cowardly lion is no longer a coward. Ascension has occurred. There's no scarecrows anymore. And I'm anew. Oh man, I don't have a driver's license for 30 days. When she moved back in, even though she opened me up and I connected with her like a twin flame, and I think she's a good Catholic girl and she won't have sex or bond until she's married. And I've been reading the Bible, you know, trying to get through it like a good Catholic should. At least go through the Bible step by step, front to back. And it was going to take me a year because I'm read a bit every day. But I gave that up. And I had, you know, I have love for the woman. I just realized when I moved her back in, like, oh fuck, this is a huge mistake. Now I realize why I moved her out in the first place. But this time I'm going to do it differently. This time I'm not going to put her in an unsafe zone. So when she moved back, I started working on her car, getting her car fixed up, getting other things in order so she can safely transition into the next. And that's been playing with my emotions to some extent. But anyway, these people that just talk of you're just a clearing, you know. Anton's talked about, Piro's talked about, other people. You're just a clearing for data to come through, an opening. And that became really apparent. Then I'm watching Moji, and he starts talking about the painter or the artist. And he says something like, all they are doing is objectifying their world because they're too fearful of going into the subject. They're too fearful to go into themselves. So they are bouncing ideas from themselves off of canvas into the world. And it made me feel like I'm going to give up on my art. I don't need to paint anymore. I don't want to paint anymore. Painting has never done it for me. Like it's never gotten me anywhere. And I thought, so there was this huge, plus having her in the house, there's like this constipation, this, oh my God, my love connection, my passion connection, like every connection just failed me. I'm this broken robot, and I spent a lot of time just sleeping. Disconnecting with YouTube and disconnecting with everything, just disconnecting. Trying to read and bond with all this stuff that's coming into my universe. God, I look like such a wild man. My crazy hair. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Anyway, so. Where do I gotta go? What do I want to say now? So this oneness guy who says, look, even when you're traveling, your soul's not going anywhere. You've never been anywhere. All you are is this opening for what appears to be movement, for what your body appears to be doing. Everything is a fleeting blip of transition into infinity. And I watched the movie Lucy, and I kind of liked what they said, like, when the environment is hospitable, people will reproduce. And if it is not hospitable, the organism will become immortal. And I was like, what does that mean, immortal? Immortal? What does that mean, immortal? And I thought of the 5 immortals, or people walking around, they're immortal. And oh, you don't die. You never die. If you reproduce, you die. If you don't reproduce, you never die. You're immortal. And then I thought of the Mormon Moroni at the top, and what that's really about. Oh, here's a golden man statue blowing a horn. And the temples always start out, you know, kind of like big cathedrals, like the cross. But the temples, you know, have these layers of internality that reach up to the steeple, which points upward. Just this singularity, like hit your bullseye. Be the best you, the best version of you that you know how to be. And hit your center. Be your center. And here's, you will be at the center of your own world when you reach this golden pinnacle. And when I ascended and I reached this high divinity, it was as if this was my world and you guys could see right through me, like the Truman Show, and that everything was transparent. And I even went into banks, and the banker knew my name before I even got to the front, and restaurants where people seemingly know me and know who I am. And it was this weird familiarity that everything I do is not only recorded, it's well known, and that it echoes in the universe. And all of you BIOS hollow decks, you BIOS pixels out there, I had, you know, a solipsism of, well, you guys just collapse when you're not in view, and this became the new psychological frustration as to what is my engagement with all of you earth angels. And, you know, is everybody enlightened and just fooling me, or are there still unenlightened people out there, or are they just at lower frequencies or lower levels, or are they oscillating, or what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, now don't fool yourself, Mike, when you watch this video. You're not really nervous about what's going on. But anyway, so this drove me into this sense of solipsism and being a one God universe, and this is my planet, and I had reached this center and this enlightenment, and I was hollowed out, and I got my halo, and I bonded with everything ancient, and everything divinity, and everything. Then I descended back to Earth. Got my wings torn off at this party where I was wearing my wings, my angel wings. Hey, check that shirt out. Oh yeah. You didn't know it. Anyway. So I descended. And even drinking coffee is like an offense to the body. My soul is devouring something bitter, and I was smoking again, and like, I'm just, you know, and then I was negating and parsing off, and I realized, hey, I have separated love off from my life for so long because I haven't gotten baby, and yet I'm still on this quest, and I'm also on a quest to be in a relationship where I'm happily in love, not fearfully in love or loving. I'm on this quest to find a common heart in the practical universe that can build up into something magic. Because once I had that, and right when I got to the pinnacle, right when I got to the bullseye, right when I got to the dartboard, right when I was at the precipice of the mountain, ready to stab in, actually marry someone. Here I am, a 44-year-old man, never been married. Dr. Laura Schlesinger says guys like me have issues, have problems. Sure enough. Anyway, right at the last moment, went to this huge Great Life meeting, this group help thing, and the guy's like, okay, if you're in a relationship, don't do anything to sabotage it. And my contrarian sense right there said, what he really means is sabotage it. Anything anyone does at the time, my response, my negation, my separation from everything in the universe was me against it. And that had echoed in my mind. And I realized it was just cowardless. It was just being a coward. I couldn't even love what it is I loved. I made contrary my own love to myself, for myself. And I walked away from the best love I ever had. Just like I had walked away from the best career opportunity and love I ever had in '98. Just like when I'm in a good relationship with myself, or with drugs, or with people, my environment, when I'm in the zone, I paint well. I paint great. And when I'm not in it, when I'm tossed, when I'm in the periphery, then it's scattered, it's choppy, it's thrown together. I move away from oils, luscious, rich, historic, into acrylics. Not that that matters. I don't know. It's all one universe with whatever medium we want to use. So immediately I land and I realize I can give up my art. I'm a new man. I have been reborn. I am a Christian, born again Christian. This is what it means. This is, I guess, what it always meant. And I thought, what I really want is to travel this world, and what I really need is a lot of money. So I'm going to join one of these multi-level marketing systems. Like, I've been focused on these systems for a long time, and I've been investigating them and toying with them, and God, I guess now's the time that I really need to do that. And then I even built clowncash.com, my own multi-level marketing system that bonds with my heart, but I realized, it's not the best out there. It's not the most appealing out there, and as a matter of fact, it scares people, and then I realized the whole thing is just a drug-induced pun about trying to elevate clowns and my clowny being to some higher level instead of an angelic being. And, I don't think there's a lot of traction in it. So here I am losing faith in this project that I dumped a lot of money into. And here I am, once again, like with the abortion, I'm chasing after money instead of just being and accepting my being, but trying to be responsible. Part of not driving 110 and passing on the right and going to jail is the universe and the cops telling me, hey, that's against the law, you're not being responsible. And so part of acquisition of money is do what you have to acquire enough responsibility to take care of your own shit. And I've been painting a long time, but I haven't been selling paintings lately or often enough to just really take off. And other artists who never gave up on their paintings, never sidestep it, never quested after money. They didn't actually even quest after a girlfriend or love or offspring. They just focused in on themselves, their relationship and conversation with their art. And those ones that I personally know are seeing fabulous results. Lots of wealth now coming back. And yet other artists, they marry young and they're very successful artists and they've lived successful lives, and that's what I wanted. But it took me forever to recognize what I was not, stop questing after what it is I was not, start trusting, forever trusting in who you are. Then the idea of three-dimensional discernment came to mind. Only do what is the most loving thing for you to do for you. In an all-abundant universe, whatever that means, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid to ask for money. Don't be afraid of talking. Don't be afraid of making an ass out of yourself. Don't be afraid of going after what you want. Anyway, all of this then, I guess the only question that I have for myself is kind of like Professor Anton or me saying and seeing people die. Is this a once occurrence thing? Is this life from birth until death once occurrence, and when you're gone, you're gone? Or somehow, like in Lucy or in this other post-biologic life idea, is the consciousness absorbed into all that is? Do we become spirits to haunt others? If there is such a thing, do we incarnate into some other form or mechanism? Are we already parallel to all other forms but only recognize the one behind the eyes? Or is eternity just our infinite relationship with everything that is? And when we're gone, that relationship ceases. In any case, there is still a quest to not meander, not fuck around. And I thought, I don't have time to record journals on YouTube. I'm on. It's the weirdest thing, but I guess I'm on a quest for family and for more spirit relationships that I'm directly connected to and responsible for, and personal growth. And I do kind of believe that, ultimately there is not just a relationship to an empty cosmos, but that there is God and saviors or prophets in kind of a hierarchical, singular Godhead. Whether I doubt this, but I feel it, like, Christ is my shepherd sort of thing. Like I'm being guided through life safely. Just continue on, but build your spirit and build things up, and don't screw up. That there is this abundant, positive, possible plan that you, me, Michael, was supposed to go on to be the best me that I could have been. But it required me keeping promises to myself and to other people, and being daring to dive into the complex and the challenging. And now that I'm this old and other people have kids that are entering college my age, and I'm, kind of like Von Helton wanting to start out old, it's like, wow. I guess what I learned is be yourself, love yourself, don't be a coward, and accept the blessings that are presented to you. But like the Paul McCartney song, when you were young, blah 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 blah, used to be live and let live, and now that you're older, more mature, live and let die. Live and let die. You know. Anyway. Now, I have to get over the fear of parting ways with my twin flame, whether or not I'm supposed to die in some cosmic, my biological death if I break this supposedly unbreakable soul bond in quest after something else. Like I have this understanding that will happen. But I believe there's more possible than just this understanding or this fear of this understanding. Anyway, to all of you out there, I've watched a few YouTube, people that I'm subscribed to in the philosophy, community. Watched a few videos, but not really many. I've been on my own, watching all sorts of other things. Okay, time to shave and get to work and continue on and be a responsible, loving, happy adult. Oh, I guess one last thing is to say, maybe it's not in the cards. And after knowing this spiritual growth and just being this spiritual robot, maybe putting other entities through that is not a wise idea on this little angel academy we call Earth. All feedback is welcome. All comments. Love to read them. Bye.